We're here at the International Transpersonal Conference in Prague, and I'm privileged to be with Jorge Ferrer, a genuine pioneer in the world of transpersonal psychology and research. Jorge, thank you for giving me the time to ask you one question today.
Thank you very much.
I'm interested in knowing what might be the value of having a transpersonal perspective in coaching and therapy.
In general?
In general.
Okay, great. Very good. Okay. I would say several things. One could be transpersonal psychology brings forth this kind of holistic view of the person, right? Very much mainstream psychotherapy focuses on particular areas of the person that may need more attention at times, like problems in the heart, specific psychosomatic disorders and so forth, But I think the transpersonal perspective is bringing this kind of more integrative approach, so we look not only at what's happening in the heart or in the history of this person in the past, but also we may look at what's going on in his environment in an horizontal way, what's happening in all his centers, all his chakras, so to speak, Sometimes certain disorders could be also caused or be shaped by things in their sexuality, for example, and of course also it brings the whole spiritual dimension into the practice, as we have learned from the work of Stan Grof, for example, there are certain disorders, that they are rooted very deeply in the psyche, and the psyche has many different levels, some of which might go beyond the biographical level, This is what is called a condensed experience system that you may be familiar with, right? COEX system, right? So, regardless if one believes or not in, let's say, past lives, okay? The fact that people re-experiencing things that happen not only about their birth, but also have memories of past life connected to their symptoms, and they re-experience them in deep psychotherapy, If that is healing, if that helps people to make the symptoms disappear and to heal at the root, I would say regardless if one believes or not in karma and incarnation, why not to do it, right? We should be pragmatic, like the Buddha, whatever it works, So that's one. Another that come to mind, coming more from my own participatory perspective, could be the importance of what is health, what is holistic health, and health is not just the absence of symptoms. That's one, it's a more standard definition in a way, but health is about feeling well-being and feeling whole and feeling excited about life and contributing to society and having healthy relationships and so forth, So I think that for that it's very important that we live in a very cognicentric culture and education, It's a lot of food for the mind, a lot of education for the mind, but all parts of ourselves, like the heart, the instincts, sexuality, the body, they receive much less attention in an educational way. So the outcome is that, as adults, most of us, we become adults on a mental level, intellectual level, rational, but at different levels, all these other worlds are in different developmental stages, So what I think is very important is to work towards bringing all those levels developmentally at the level of the mind, so they can all sit in the same table together as we're doing here and collaborate, co-create your life, so it's not dictated by the mind. A lot of problems today are because we have learned that we need to solve problems from here, and there's all these books, like how to eat, how to breathe, how to breastfeed, things that the body knows how to do, but we have lost connection with that instinctive somatic intelligence, right? For me, it's very sad when I understand, I support them, but when some of my friends who had babies, they have to take lessons to breastfeed. For hundreds of thousands of years, women would breastfeed like all animals, right? And now women, this symptom of this kind of disconnection between consciousness and the instinct, So I think a participatory perspective brings this kind of holistic approach, like that we need to help people to somehow live lives in which the mind is just one more player in your life, and the body and the heart and the spiritual awareness and instincts are all kind of co-creating your life, and that I think leads to a deeper or more genuine form of health. Yes.
Well, that's tremendously valuable, and I think something that coaches and therapists in their professional practice should be aware of, so that we can approach the process and interaction with our clients more holistically. If I may ask one more question, pertinent to the participatory perspective. Professionals doing coaching and therapeutic work, to what extent can the participatory perspective forge a deeper and more meaningful relationship with their clients?
Clients from psychotherapists and coaches?
That's right.
Yes. I think so, because participation is not only about intrapersonal participation, like the participation of all of who you are, but it's also interpersonal participation, so I think the modes of psychotherapy and healing relationship that would be more aligned and attuned to a psychotherapeutic participatory perspective, could be modes that could be also more reciprocal, more relational in deep ways. For example, the extreme of this would be forms of co-counseling, right? In which the role of these two people, you probably are familiar with co-counseling. So, that's one extreme, The other extreme is a very separate role, the Freudian psychoanalysis, and a very little relationship, right? And in between, there's a whole spectrum. Of course, it's psychotherapist, it's healer. You need to find your way, But I think there is a way in which, I've worked with many therapists in my life, and I know many therapists are already doing this. They could be very personal. They self-disclose when necessary. There is, they're strategic about it. But I think some movement towards deeper even intimacy, between therapists and clients, and of course an intimacy that it's maintained in a professional way, that shouldn't move into a sexual intimacy, for example, because there is, a context that is not the appropriate differential of power. It's very delicate, but even that is kind of, everything is questionable these days. It's like the same. It's a different thing. I'm more familiar with questions around spiritual teachers and students, or shamans and practitioners. And of course, in general, this relationship should be discouraged. Because the power differential, and the potential harm. But at the same time, and I don't know if this applies to the psychotherapeutic container, probably it applies less, but we do hear only about the bad stories, that when things don't go right, and then but we don't hear about the good stories in the media, but I know many good stories of both shamans, and practitioners that later they married and had children, and also even a practitioner of Zen, and with very old Japanese Zen teacher that they engaged into a very sensual relationship, and it was like an incredible boosting for her psycho-spiritual development. There was never any problem, it was amazing, and so for me it's not so much does it happen or not, but has the guru or the shaman the discernment to know that relationship is going to be constructive for this person, and in many cases they don't, and that's why they shouldn't do it. Sure. But I think psychotherapy is different because, it's at least that it has been constructed in the West. There is a lot of ethical mandates. People can lose their.
Sure. Well, I'm curious to know if a practitioner holding a participatory perspective would be more conscious of phenomena like transference and counter-transference, and therefore more proactive in dealing with that ethically.
That's interesting. My sense is that it would be that you would have to do more with the therapist than with the framework, to be honest. I think like therapists in different orientations, that work with transfer and contact transference, they could be better than others, but I don't think that necessarily, at least. But again, I'm not a clinician, I feel a little handicapped answering some of these questions because not being a clinician, although having that experience for many years, but my sense is that it's more the therapist, and good participatory perspective, how them to be more conscious of transfer and control transference. I don't know.
No. Okay. Well, Jorge, thank you very much for your time. I know you're very busy here at the conference. You've inspired us a lot with your talks so far.
Thank you so much.
I really am grateful for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jevon. Yes.